Hi, everybody. So like I said in my preview video, we're going to uh, start one of two different pumpkin projects. This one is going to be kind of a more serious pumpkin project. And when we get done with this, sometime next week, because this might be a 2-day project for some people. Most of my projects are going to be 2 or 3 week projects. Once we get done with this, it'll be pretty close to Halloween, and we will be making a spooky pumpkin project. So I want to just throw a different one in there, even though I made a little bit of a mistake in my announcement on Friday. That's why I shared with you a new announcement this morning. So to start off, we're going to need a piece of paper, and I'm holding it side to side like it's a landscape. This is how we hold it when we call it a landscape. If we turn it this way, we call it a portrait, because portraits of people are go up and down. Landscapes, we want them to be nice and wide so we could show as much of that landscape as possible. I'm going to try and get away from that S. Okay, so we're going to make a pumpkin patch. We're going to try and draw a couple of different pumpkins, a big one right here in the middle, and then maybe one or two on the side to make it look like they're getting smaller and smaller. I just want to see what we can do and if we can do this together, okay? So if we make a mistake, we're going to stop. We're going to hit pause on this video, and you can erase it and rewind the video and try it again, okay? That's the best part about this kind of art lesson, is that if I ever go too fast for you, you could always hit pause. And normally you could hit pause by hitting that space bar, okay? And when you are ready to start up again, start up again. This is not meant to be too difficult, okay? This is just supposed to be a fun little art project. So on our first project together, we learned a funny little thing about Thomson clouds. And our Thomson clouds kind of started big, small, and got a little bit bigger and came back down. We also were introduced to the very famous patent pending, mind you, patent pending Thomson triple U, where we started out with a regular U. We added a second U to make a W, and then we added a third one to make our Thomson triple U. Okay, so today we're going to kind of combine the two of those. We're going to start by making the top of a Thomson cloud, but we're going to start by calling it a letter. Let's see if you can guess it. I'm going to start right here towards the middle of the paper. See if you can guess what letter I'm starting out drawing. Kind of looks like an M to me. And then I'm going to make it even bigger. So we could call that a Thomson triple M. Maybe we'll get a little bit smaller. So now we have two, one in the middle and two on either side. So we have a couple of those curves. They get a little bit bigger and they get a little bit smaller. Okay. Pumpkins come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. So it's perfectly fine that this little bump is a little bit more narrow than that little bump. Do you see how this little area right here is a little bit skinnier than that? This one is a lot bigger than this one. I'm perfectly fine with that because pumpkins grow in all different shapes and sizes. Now, we're going to make this come down and kind of curve around. And maybe we have a couple little bumps just like that. Nothing too crazy. Now, if I were doing this in pencil, I would go through and I would erase this little mark right there. But because I'm using a marker so everybody can see a little bit more clearly, I can't exactly do that. I'm not upset. It's perfectly fine. So to make this thing look a little bit more like a pumpkin, we're going to add some of those ribs. And lines like this, they're not really touching the top or the bottom. They're just kind of going in between, just like that. Now, it's going to look even more like a pumpkin when we do the next couple of things. One of the things we have to do next week is it's going to be all about the coloring, but we're going to put a nice big stem on the top. So the stems on pumpkins, I like to start with this letter. It could be one or two, and I'm going to give that to you because I made the top part a little long. It could be either the letter R, or if you use your imagination and turn it sideways, we have a capital L. So then we'll just kind of make a nice little curve, and we'll follow this line coming back. Just like that. Okay? Now that's one pumpkin. Okay, we're going to add one pumpkin over here that's going to be a little bit smaller, one pumpkin over here, and then we're going to finish it up with that nice little horizon line. So this one, we're going to start kind of behind this. So we're just going to have maybe just that Thompson triple M, and then we'll bring this down. We'll have this kind of come over like this, and we'll have the lines come in just like this. Maybe we'll have another little line like that to make it look like there is part of the pumpkin behind this. See, all of a sudden now it's looking a little three-dimensional. Now, remember, if I'm going way too fast, you should hit pause. Sometimes I get very excited in my drawing and I go a little too fast, and I will admit that. But that's why we've got that pause. If you're ready to keep going, we're going to add that same kind of pumpkin stem. Maybe this one will be a little bit smaller. So that letter R again, have a nice little curve, and then have it come back down. Okay. And then on this side, we're going to try and do the same thing. So if you're ready, we're going to start with that Thompson triple M. 1, 2, 3. And this time I'm going to try and bring it all the way back around. See if I could do that all in one motion. And we'll add those curvy little lines to give it a little bit more character, make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. And now maybe this pumpkin stem is not going to face this way like everybody else. Maybe he's going to be going off in his own direction. And we'll do a backwards R. Little curve, and have that come down. Okay, now to finish up this, we're going to make our horizon line. So it's going to go from the pumpkin over here to the edge of our line, from the pumpkin over here to the edge of our paper. Sorry, I said to the edge of our line. That's not right, to the edge of the paper. Now, in our preview, I said that we could do a couple of different things for our background. So, first, if you have construction paper at home, you have that green and that black construction paper, we can cut out these 3 pumpkins all on one shape when we get done tracing, and we can glue it next week onto construction paper. And I'll show you next week how that's going to look. If we don't have construction paper and we want to stick with what we have, we could add some stuff in the background, okay, and in the foreground. Foreground is in front, background is in the back. Okay, so in the back, maybe we should make this during nighttime. So we're going to put, excuse me, we're going to put a nice moon up here in the corner. And if you thought that my suns were cool, check out my moon. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Just like last night. Last night, I was driving home from my birthday dinner, and we saw a crescent moon, or as my kids call it, a Cheshire Cat smile, because they like the cartoon Alice in Wonderland. But I like to do things a little bit differently with my moons. So I start with a nice big C. Then I put a smaller C and another smaller C. Sometimes when I look at this shape that I just drew inside, it looks like a backwards 3, right? Here's a 3. Here's a backwards 3. See the difference? I do. Now, we're going to turn this moon, and we're going to turn it So it looks like it has a face. Nice little smile. Little dot for the nose. And a little eye, just like that. So all I did was a curve for the smile, a little line for the dimple on his cheek, a little line in the nose, curved line and a dot for the eye. If you want to add some of those Thompson clouds, let's just remember how to do those. We're going to start with yep, you got it right, nice flat line. We're going to have some of those curves get bigger and bigger, and then come back down, make them smaller and smaller. Looks like a nice big piece of popcorn. Getting me hungry at 9 o'clock in the morning filming this thing, thinking about popcorn already. We'll do one over here. Maybe this one will be a little bit smaller than that to make it look like it has some depth, just like we did with these smaller pumpkins. Okay. If you want to add some birds flying, maybe they're flying home, they're getting done with work, and they're trying to get home for dinner, you do that too. Down here, I'm going to stay zoomed in so we can see this. Maybe we will have some curvy pumpkin vines. So we're just going to do a couple loop-de-loops. See how I'm doing this? I'm doing just a curve like this. Then I'm going through and I'm following it again. And then I'm going to carry that curve back up. Just like I said before, if you need to hit pause to catch up, hit pause. That's the beauty of these videos. We're able to just kind of go at our own pace. We are able to draw and follow along at our own pace. If we need to stop and freeze, that's perfectly fine. Okay. Let's look outside. No, the leaves are still green, so we're not going to draw any leaves down, falling down on the ground for our second pumpkin project. I believe we will have to. Okay. Now, this is our lesson for today. We're going to draw these pumpkins as best as we can. If you need to fix any mistakes, it's perfectly fine. Fix any mistakes that you have. If you have a dark marker, just like with our baby chick project, when you are done fixing those mistakes, or when you're done drawing this picture, try and trace over your lines as best as you can. Okay. And then what I want you to do is I want you to take out an eraser that you have at home and then try and clean up the picture, because sometimes what happens is we go through and we draw everything and it looks great. And then we take out our fun Sharpie marker or whatever dark marker you have at home, and we trace over that and it looks perfect. But we have a couple of little pencil lines that hangs out. The problem with that is that we want to kind of get rid of those so that they don't become a permanent part of our project. Okay, so carefully just look across your paper, see if you have any of those lines, and just give them a nice little erase. Okay, next week, we're going to be talking about the coloring portion of this project. So next week, we're going to need to find either crayons or coloring pencils. Those two will work the best. Or markers if you have them. Those will work perfectly fine. Or I think I said oil pastels. Yes, I said oil pastels. Oil pastels are great. We're definitely going to need them for the next project. But be very, very careful if you're using oil pastels, because they can be incredibly messy. Okay, so we are going to talk about that next week, and I'm going to demonstrate the 3 different kinds of our coloring that we have, the different options that we have, 4 different kinds that we have. Okay, so have fun with this. Send me a email. If you can't upload your picture to your to the Google form, that's fine. If mom, dad, or somebody at home you're listening, you could take a picture with your cell phone, your smartphone, and try and upload it that way. That's been working for a lot of people as well. Okay, have fun with this. I can't wait to see your finished projects.